You're listening to Titans of the Trades. I'm your host, Ryan England, author of Hire Better People Faster and creator of the CoreFit hiring system, a proven process to help growing companies attract and retain only the best. I'm on a mission to revolutionize the perception of the trades and elevate it to new heights. After growing up in a blue-collar family, my passion for making the trades cool again runs deep. If you're a Titan in the industry and want to be on my show, stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can be my next guest. My name is Ryan England. I am the host of Titans of the Trades, and today you are in for a treat. Today's guest needs no introduction. He started out as a plumber, became an influencer, and is now the largest blue-collar influencer on social media. I'm going to let him share his story, what caused him to do this, why he did it, and where he's going next. I want to introduce, on today's show, Roger Wakefield. Roger, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
I'm so excited that you and I finally get to sit down and we get to share some of what you're doing in the plumbing industry, which is really the trades in general. And some of your thoughts and philosophies and what you've been able to do through social media to connect with this younger generation is incredible. So I would love for you to take just a few minutes, share with our listeners a little bit about you and what you're up to.
Well, Ron, I started plumbing while I was still in high school, and I actually quit high school the middle of my junior year, got into plumbing, fell in love with it. But luckily, I decided to go ahead and go back and graduate. I was dating a girl that told me one day, she said, look, I don't think I could ever marry anybody that didn't graduate high school. So I was like, okay, I can do that. So I went back and I was far enough ahead that I was able to graduate with my class. And then after I got out, I tried a couple of other things, but I got right back into plumbing and I loved it. And many, many years later, I've done residential, commercial, industrial, service, new construction. I've been non-union, union, and non-union again. So I've done a little bit of everything in the plumbing industry. And I decided to open my own business. And I opened it and was doing okay. But then I realized marketing companies are just ripping people off. And I hate to say that, but we spent $47,000 on multiple marketing companies. And the last one literally made our phone stop ringing. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. Our phones, it was like, I tell people, imagine driving down the road, throwing $47,000 cash out the window, and knowing when you get to your office, the phone's not going to be ringing.
Oh, no.
That's tough to overcome.
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to do something about it. I learned social media, and I'm at a conference. I'm going to learn social media, which at the age of 54, you think is Facebook. And I walked into a room and learned about YouTube. And it literally blew my mind. And a month later, we started YouTube. That was just over 6 years ago. And now we're coming up on 650,000 subscribers on YouTube, almost another 600,000 on TikTok, another 100,000 or so on Instagram. I mean, we've kind of covered the social media platforms pretty well.
I love it. I love it. And that's the next generation. I love what you said, because I'm not much younger than you. And if someone told me social media, I'd be like, that's Facebook.
It's what it was.
It was not today's generation. Like
well, and not for me either. I'm hardly ever on Facebook now, but literally when I went to this conference, that's what I'm thinking. How do I use Facebook to grow my business? And, I want your viewers to think about this, because the entrepreneurs, the company owners, even the guys thinking about opening a company one day, what I heard at that conference, the guy literally walked out on stage and he said, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. And Ryan, I shut my notebook. I thought, this guy's stupid. He doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. I put my hand on the chair next to me and I raise up and I'm turning around to get up and walk out. And the entire back of the room is standing room only. And real quick, my plumber brain said, hey, he may know something here. There may be something to this. And I sat back down, I looked up at him, and the next words he said were, and it's owned by Google, the largest search engine in the world. And immediately I thought, wait, we're just throwing money at Google. Why aren't we throwing any money at YouTube? little did I know that within just a couple of years, Google, who owns YouTube, would be throwing money at me. So I'm like, okay, this turned out to be a pretty good deal.
Nice. And all from that realization that you were just throwing money out the window to a marketing company that probably didn't even really understand how to market your business. They would never be able to do it as well as you did.
And I think that they know how. I just don't think that they want to take the time to do it right. And, I tell people this all the time because the marketing companies that I was talking to would tell me, hey, look, we can get so many people on your website. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. Well, the truth is, I don't care if you get 1 million people on my website and they stay for an hour each. If they don't call my office, if they don't pick up the phone and reach out to me, it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
And that's something I think most marketing companies just don't understand.
Well, I think too, it has to do with they don't care as much about the business as you do. Like this is
You're completely
baby.
right. They care about how much money they can get from you to make you think they're doing something.
Yeah, we run into that a lot in the recruiting space when we're helping them build teams and find great technicians. They want staffing agencies and recruiters to do it for them. I'm like, they don't understand your culture. They don't care about your business like you do. That's not their baby. So they're just going to throw people at you to fill a job. And it's the same thing here, I think.
No, and I like that. But one thing that I've come up with, and I've been working on through a product that I use, Go High Level, is automation. So think about this, Ryan. What if you had a lot of pre-qualifiers? What if you had a questionnaire that literally asks people, look, do you feel like it's important to show up on time for work every day? Do you feel like it's important to work weekends when your customers need it? Here's a good one. When it snows outside and people are suffering freezing breaks, do you think it's important to come to work, or do you think it's important to stay home and take care of your family? Because if you can ask those questions up front and figure out things like that, you can literally let people gracefully exit the interview process before you ever bring them into the office.
Yeah.
And questions like that will do two things. Number one, it's going to make you have less people to interview. But number two, the people that do go through all these questions, all these questionnaires, read, write, whatever it is you ask them to do, by the time they get into your office, you probably already know, hey, I'm going to hire this person as long as they pass the look test and the smell test,
All they got to do is fog a mirror and show up on time, right?
That's about what most people are looking for these days. Yeah.
But I love that you brought up automation because I know that you're being so present in the digital space. I'm sure automation is something I know about Go High Level and some of the things that they're doing to help businesses automate. What are some of the things that you see the industry needing to adopt, like some changes that they need to be able to make so that they can actually survive this AI revolution and this automation revolution?
Well, I like the way you worded it. To survive it, we don't need to just survive it. We need to thrive in it. We need to be literally looking at AI. And I've got multiple AI softwares and packages that I look at and I challenge every day. How can you make my job better? How can you automate things for me where I don't have to do 80% of this work? And it's out there. And I'm lucky because I'm working with Go High Level to put things together for tradespeople, because they reached out to me and they're like, Roger, look, we don't have a lot set up for tradespeople. We've got some companies that do stuff with trades and things like that, but we really want to build something amazing. And from listening to you talk, we think that you understand what you're talking about. So I'm able to talk to them and say, hey, why didn't it do this? Or why didn't it do this? Or man, if I could just push a button and make it do this, it'd be amazing. But I'm also helping put together a team to help onboard tradespeople the right way, that it makes it easy. Most marketing companies that we walk into, they're like, okay, what do you want us to do? Well, I want you to build a website and I want you to make my phone ring. Well, you tell people that these days and they're like, okay, well, how do you want me to build it? What program do you want me to use? What software do you want me to use? And how many times do you want your phone to ring and all this? Go High Level saying, look, we don't expect the plumber to know what he needs. We have things that we can roll out. We can put together a screenshot for you, Roger, and you can show them what you have. And they can say, oh my God, I love that. I want something that does what that does. It's completely different.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you were talking about that, the marketing company asking all these questions, it's like if I had the answers, it wouldn't be sitting in front of you.
We wouldn't need a marketing company to be like, look, if I knew all those answers, I'd just do this myself. It's not that hard.
I would. So what do you think is something that's really holding them back? Something tactical that a lot of plumbing companies or anybody in the trades just really needs to think about and change the way their approach to it or change the way they think about it so that they can thrive in this environment?
Well, on the AI, get in and play with it. Learn different things about it. Learn how you can use it. Literally, I mean, I can drive down the road and talk to my phone, and I don't want it to start making noises, but I can talk to my phone and say, hey, look, I need to run an ad for ... I want you to think like a marketing agency and help me put together 3 Facebook ads that are going to help my phone ring for whole house water filtration. I want to make sure that people understand that there's financing available. I want people to understand that they can go to a third-party source and check and see what's in their water in their area. And I also want them to understand that we can install this in the middle of a field with no electricity and no drainage necessary, or we can install another system that you plug in. It's going to backwash. It's going to regen. It's going to do amazing things. And both these have about a 10-year life expectancy with nothing to do to them. No maintenance whatsoever, nothing to take care of. Install it, forget about it, come back 10 later and change it out. And let it make that ad for me. And then I can look at it. Another thing most of us need to be doing is jumping in front of a camera. Learn how to make a video telling people why we started our company, why we specialize in what we do. And I think more companies could make their own phone ring by doing little things like that.
You know, it's interesting. You are such an influencer in this space. And I didn't even know that was a career for a lot of people when I grew up.
Well, either did I.
Career, right?
Yeah, either did I.
And I'm seeing this more and more. We have a lot of people in the trades, especially the younger generation, that is figuring out how to combine influencer with business owner, right? I own a plumbing company, but I also know how to create some influence in my local community. What are some of the things that you've seen be very successful in that space for people that are thinking, you know what? I do want to get on YouTube. I do want to spend more time on TikTok, but it's so much and it can feel so overwhelming. What are some things you have to say to that group of people?
You know, the first thing is, and I'm lucky now, Ryan, because I get to travel around the country. I speak at social media conferences. I speak at trades conferences. I speak at speaker conferences and entrepreneur conferences. Everybody needs to learn to speak. And I know that sounds funny, but it can be as little as just going down to your chamber of commerce and getting up and speaking each week, get a 30-second sound bite, learn to tell people what it is you do. And, you know, the last thing you want to do is to say, hey, I'm Roger Wakefield. I'm a plumber. Everybody's like, oh, great. Here he goes. You know, nobody wants to listen to the plumber. Nobody wants to listen to the insurance guy or anything like that. But I got to where what I do when I go to a chamber of commerce or a networking meeting, I say, I want everybody to close your eyes for just a minute. If you came home today after work and you walk in your house and water is pouring out of your ceiling and you realize your ceiling's not even there, it's in your floor in your living room, the most prized possession that you own, your house. Imagine that happening. What would you do? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to Google and you're going to call the first plumber that answers his phone. That may not be the best plumber. You should do research now and find out who your plumber is, who your electrician is, who your HVAC tech is, and who your roofer are. That way, if you have an emergency, you know already who you're going to call. You've already called them, you've talked to them, you've built a relationship. And that's what I do. I help people take care of their most prized possession by helping them take care of their plumbing. I'm Roger Wakefield, lead AP with Texas Green Plumbing, helping you save money one drop at a time. Now you've got their attention. You've told them a story. You've drugged them in, and they're like, "Oh my God, if that ever happened, I'm calling Roger." Yeah. Okay, but I didn't start off, "Hey, I'm Roger. I'm a plumber. If you have a toilet at home, you're my customer."
Yeah.
Oh, I'm unemployed, broke, and bankrupt. But yeah, come fix all my plumbing for me, will you? No, you're really not my customer. But you said everybody was your customer. A lot of us don't understand that.
Yeah, you emotionally connect to the pain that they're dealing with. It's funny when we talk to plumbing companies about recruiting, especially the younger generation, these kids out of high school, they think oh, I don't want to be a plumber because I just wait around and crap all day. Like they think that drains is what a plumber is, right? And they associate that. And I think
it's not just drains, it's poop.
Yeah.
All it is. That's all it is.
Just poop. And I think a lot of homeowners think the same thing. Like a plumber is just going to hear when I got a leak or a flood or a drain that's not draining, that's when I call my plumber. But it's so much more than that. And that's something that I've learned just being so close to the trades. So I want to shift gears for a second because my passion really is making the trades cool again, bringing new people to the trades. And I know that you talk a lot about that. How do you attract great people? I love the automation that you gave the examples of. What are some things that we need to start thinking about as an industry to really start getting more guys and gals into plumbing?
No, I think that each and every plumbing company out there should go down to maybe the middle school, the high schools in their area. I'm so lucky that I'm in Texas. Texas, just a couple of years ago, implemented a new plan. The Texas State Board got together with TEA, the Texas Education Association, and TWC, the Texas Workforce Commission. And they literally said, look, we want to find a way to put plumbing in the high schools. So they put together a syllabus, put together a curriculum, got it agreed upon by all three agencies, and said, okay, look, any high school that wants to implement this, a person can come to school their freshman year, be told about this program. Their sophomore, junior, and senior year, they take plumbing. Now, there's other courses involved, but you've got plumbing for 3 years. And there's hours that they've got to go out in the field and work and do different things with other people and things like that. There's also a plumber has to be on board and involved in this training. Now, it doesn't mean the plumber's got to be there every day, but he's got to be involved in the curriculum. He's got to be involved in coming in and talking to the students and making sure, hey, we're doing things. It works, and this is what it's like in the field. To me, that's phenomenal because now, and I think right now there's 77 schools in Texas that have that in place.
Wow.
Cool thing about that is when that person graduates as a senior, they're eligible to go down to Austin and take their tradesman exam. Now, when I had my own company, which I sold it a couple of years ago, but Ryan, when I had my own company, I was starting out tradesman. If you came in with a tradesman license, I was paying you $25 an hour. That's a $52,000 a year job walking out of high school. Not a bad gig.
Not at all. Not at all. And with no debt. That's the part I love too, right?
Man, yeah, there's enough of that out there, isn't there?
Oh my gosh. So what are they doing? So I love that they have the curriculum, but how do you think they need to overcome this idea that I don't want to tell my friends I'm taking the plumbing class because that's not cool? Like, what are some things that we as an industry need to kind of lock arms and start doing so that people think this is a cool job to have?
I think I started out a while ago saying, look, I think that each of the companies need to get out and go to the middle schools and go to the high schools. I think plumbers need to get out and speak at career days. And I say plumbers, but it's plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, all of us.
Yeah.
Get out and visit the kids. Get out and see them. Go sponsor a banner at the football games or something and show up and visit. Let people see you. When I go to trade shows, so many young plumbers come up to me and they want to see me. They want to talk to me. They want to shake my hand. They want to take a picture. We can all make plumbing cool again. Every one of us.
Yeah.
We just got to do it.
And I think we got to do it together. We can't just wait for Roger to make plumbing cool, right? It's got to be everybody. So what are some of the damaging stereotypes that are holding the industry back? Like, what are some of the things that if I'm thinking, okay, I need to stop saying this. I need to stop doing this. Like one of the examples I have is there's a company out in Arizona and their tagline is the smell good plumber.
Uh-huh.
And I get the tagline, makes me think, oh, okay, well, they don't stink. But what are you saying about the rest of the industry? You're saying the rest of the industry stinks.
You know what? And are they in Arizona now? Because I think they started in California. I don't remember the name of the company, but I used to know who it was.
Yeah.
I don't mind stuff like that.
Okay.
But you're right. It does kind of paint the rest of the trade in a negative way. He's used it for a tagline for years. It's never going away.
Oh, yeah.
But my thought is, when a plumber shows up in starched jeans, a starched shirt, a uniform. It didn't even have to be starched. A uniform that looks good and represents your company. That starts everything right there, because you show up and it's pattern interrupt. They're looking at you and thinking, wait, you're in clean boots, starched jeans, a starched shirt. You're smiling. Your butt crack's not showing.
You smell good.
Yeah, you smell good. You're not what I expected from a plumber.
Yeah.
We've also got to learn the communication. I love having a credibility statement. When you walk up and knock on the door and that customer answers, and you look at that customer and I say, hey, Ryan, look, I'm Roger Wakefield. I'm the plumber here. I've got a question, Ryan. Have you ever used this before? Well, I already know you haven't, because I've checked the history. Ryan, have you used this before? You haven't? Do you mind if I take just a moment and tell you why I became a plumber, why I came to work at Texas Green Plumbing, and why I continue to work here? You say, yeah, go ahead. And I'm like, look, I was in trouble growing up. I quit high school, got in a lot of trouble hanging out with wrong people and stuff like that. So I quit school and I started plumbing and I loved it. But then I went back and graduated with my class. And after graduation, I tried a couple of other things, but you know what? I got right back into plumbing. And then a few years later, I found Texas Green Plumbing. And what I really liked about it is they would bring people in and train them to be better plumbers. They wanted the plumbers to learn more and grow. And they specialized in slab leaks and leak detection. And that was a big deal to me, because I always thought it was cool. It's like a Superman power. How do you find a leak under a house? And I thought that was so cool. So I went to work for them. And I continue to work here because I think Texas Green Plumbing has the best warranties of any plumbing company around. And every year they spend about $10,000 training each and every plumber there. $10,000 per plumber. So don't you think a company that treats his people that way and trains their people that way is going to do the right thing for you today? You're going to buy whatever I tell you you need.
I'm ready to sign up.
Exactly, but that's the deal. Yeah. That is the way each and every plumber out there needs to be presenting themselves. I was at a conference a while back, and this lady asked me, what all I teach, because I've got apps and courses. I've got everything. And she says, what do you teach people about getting into the trade? She says, how do you really help them? I said, well, one of the first things I do is teach them the interview process. And she says, okay, what do you teach? And I said, well, if I walk in and there's 4 people there to interview me, I said, how many interviews have you done lately? She said, I've probably done 20 this year, and we're like midway through the year. I said, okay. If I walk in and there's 4 people sitting there, and I walk up to each one of them and say, hello, I'm Roger Wakefield. I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. And I get your name or a card or something, and I go down the line to all 4 people, and then I go over and have a seat where I'm supposed to. And then you ask me what questions you have to ask me. And then I literally answer those questions, but then you ask me, do you have any questions for us? And I have questions like, yes, ma'am. How is me coming to work here for you going to make me a better plumber and help me take better care of my family? And then you ask a question like, how do I grow here? And what do I have to do to make you look better at the end of every day when they look back and say, you're the one that hired me? What do you expect from me? And you ask things like that. And then when you're done, you get up and you go back to those 4 people and you say, Miss Johnson, whether you hire me or not, I just want to tell you thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Stone, pleasure to meet you, sir. Thank you for this. And I love the questions that you asked. And you look each one of the 4 of them in the eye, you shake their hand, you tell them thank you, and you turn to walk out the door. And I asked her, I said, what are you going to do? She said, I'm going to tell you not to leave. You're hired.
I want to hire you.
She said right then, and my camera just moved around. But she said, you're not walking out the door. I'm hiring you. She said, not only am I hiring you, I'm probably paying you a couple more dollars an hour than I thought I was going to. I said, let me ask you for
growth and everything.
Yeah, but I said, let me ask you. You said you've had done 20 interviews this year. How many of them came close to that? She said, not a one. I said, that's what I teach people.
Yeah. I love that.
It's huge.
So here's the big lesson, big takeaway for me. What I'm hearing is become a storyteller like Roger Wakefield. That's what you need to do if you want more business for your plumbing company, if you want better technicians coming applying for you. I mean, everything you've done is about story. It's not a, here's my price list. It's not like, oh, what's the problem? I'll fix that. It's, here's why. I love what Simon Sinek said. No one cares what you do. They care why you do it.
Absolutely.
And every story that you've shared is about why you became a plumber, why you became an influencer, why is everything you're sharing. So I just, that's my big takeaway today. If you want more out of your plumbing business, if you want more out of your career as a plumber, become a great storyteller.
And Ryan, I love that, because here's one thing that I do. I tell all the plumbing company owners, do you have a video about why you started plumbing? Do you have a video about why you opened your own company? Because I can tell you mine. I was working for a big mechanical contractor. They were talking about getting into the residential service industry. And I walked into the e-board meeting one day because I was executive director over new construction. So I'm in here with 6 other people. And the owner, the young lady who was a nurse who was taking over her parents' company, said, we're getting into residential service industry, and we're going to market it that we have the best trained plumbers and we specialize in customer service. So, okay, I like that. I said, what are you going to do to train your plumber? She said, what do you mean? You're going to tell them you have the best trained plumbers. How are you going to train them? And she said, Roger, every one of our plumbers will have a license. I said, every plumber in Texas is supposed to have a license. She said, yeah, but we're going to market that. I said, okay, what are you going to do for customer service? She kind of rolled her eyes. She says, we'll make sure all our plumbers know how to say, please, thank you, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. And I'm like, that's really what you're going to call customer service? And she was convinced that was going to change the world. And I knew right then, good to great, Jim Collins, I was in the wrong seat, in the wrong bus, going the wrong direction at the wrong time.
Yeah. Wow. So what I heard you do there is tell me another story as to why. I love it, Roger. This is great. Become a great storyteller. And I imagine that, you know what, this is something I'd love to know, because I do think story is so important. It's the oldest form of communication. It's how we've been doing it since the beginning. We talk a lot about story, why you're doing why you're a plumber, why you have your business, why you're growing it. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are very happy just having a job, but then they always want to bring on that extra technician. It's like, why? Right? Like, let's figure that out. So I imagine that you've learned some things over the years to become an amazing storyteller. What are some tips you can give our listeners that are like, yes, I want to be an influencer. I want to talk more at the BBB or at the chamber. I want to do these things. How do I become a better storyteller? What's some tips you got for our listeners?
Well, I mean, Ryan, think about it. You've got a story as to why you started CORE, okay? You did it for a reason. It wasn't just, hey, you know what? I can make a whole lot of money recruiting people into the trades.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this the rest of my life. Somewhere along the way, there was a reason that you're like, man, you know what? There's a need for this. There's a big need for this. And if you go back and look, you can find what things in your life led to that. Why is it that that's what you chose? Well, you know what, Roger? One of my cousins was a plumber, and he never could get help. And I used to go help him. It's like, why don't you just hire more help? He said, look, there's nobody good out there.
Actually,
we've all got my stories. Huh?
It was my dad.
There you go. See?
I watched him do this.
Yeah. Okay, but that's it. And I'm sure you went out with him and you're watching him. It's like, Dad, why don't more people learn to do this? I don't know, son. It's a great profession.
Yeah.
And I tell people that, look, this isn't a trade. I've got a professional license from the state of Texas. I'm a professional. And I look at it that way. And each one of us need to be able to tell our why story. Okay? Why do we do what we do? Why did we get started doing what we do? And then another one, and a big one to me, be able to tell the stories about what you specialize in and why. Everything's got to come back to why.
I was going to say, and why.
You bet.
And why. I love that. I find that when we are talking to companies about their company culture, their leadership, and everything else, they really struggle with this. They really struggle with why. especially when you get into the second generation. They're like, well, that's what dad did, so that's what I do, right? Like, why? And is there anything that you found that, like a certain question or something that just triggers people to go, okay, now I've got that right thought form? Like, what's some advice you have for them that are struggling with this?
If you're trying to figure out somebody's why, Ryan, ask them about 5 different times. Okay, but why? Okay, you say you're starting with your dad. Okay, but why'd you get into this? Well, it was hard for him to find good people. Okay, but why? He didn't get out and look for good people. He thought they were going to come to him. Okay, why? I guess because that's how he got his jobs. He looked for the companies that he wanted to work for. You keep asking why, and people will go deeper and deeper, and they'll be like, wow, you know what? And don't give them the answer. Don't say, well, why'd you do this? Because your dad did it? Why'd you do this? Because it's hard for him to find people? Well, now you're giving them answers. They're like, yeah, sure, that's a great answer. Love it.
Yeah.
Ask them why, and then just listen.
I love that.
And if they sit there, they're thinking, they're like, look, I don't know, so I'm in no rush. Think about it.
Patience is not something that a lot of people have right now. So, but I love that. Great advice.
Not since these things came out. We get everything we want right now.
Yeah, that's great. I think that even if you are just, even if you're a professional licensed plumber, a technician, and you want that next step in career, because what you talked about when they said, what questions do you have for us? There aren't a lot of plumbing companies that are even asking that.
I know.
So the bar's pretty low. So if I'm a professional plumber and I'm licensed and I'm doing this, but I want that next step in my career, finding the right company is probably connecting with someone who's already done the work to figure out their why. Because it's going to be so much easier for me to connect my why with theirs.
And Ryan, just in case anybody's watching this that is going to go on a job interview, if they don't ask you questions, or if they don't ask you, do you have any questions? Say, if they're like, okay, we're done, we don't have anything else, say, well, do you mind if I take just a moment and ask you a couple of questions? Now, when you do that, again, pattern interrupt, they're going to be like, yeah, what kind of questions do you have for us?
Yeah. One of the ones I love doing is, are there any questions that I should be asking that I have?
That's a really good one.
And see if they're self-aware enough to tell you, to give you some advice. This is so, I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm for the trades. I love that this is what you're doing now. You're helping the next generation not only get plugged in and learn the profession, but also working with these owners to say, here's how you become that employer of choice and can not only serve a great customer, but serve your employees and really just be of service to everybody. By connecting with story, by connecting with your why, really what is it that drives you? So much great stuff. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners as we get ready to wrap up?
One thing you talk about, and I do, I work with everybody from people getting in the trades all the way up to the guys that want to start their own business, all the way up to the entrepreneur that's been running it and it's just not growing. But one thing that you've talked about is the learning. You work with them and you coach them and you do things like that. Most trades professionals, me included, for many, many years, once I got my plumbing license, Ryan, I was a plumber. Let me go plumb. I got in the trade to become a plumber. I'm a professional plumber now. Just let me go plumb. And I quit learning until I got into the union. And then I started learning different things. And then I wanted to learn more than the union would teach me. So I really started learning. But I mean, think about it. The young apprentice getting in, somebody has to teach him. Now, I don't want to teach him plumbing. There's a million plumbers out there that can teach him plumbing. I want to teach him the right attitude to become the best plumber. The tradesman out there that wants to become a foreman, a superintendent, he's not just going to keep installing pipe every day, and that's going to make him a good foreman or superintendent. He needs to learn leadership. He needs to learn communication styles. He needs to learn management and motivation. The person starting their own business. One of my first coaches was Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth book. And if we don't learn, if we're not working on our business, we're busy working in our business. So we've got to learn what it takes to run a good business. And I remember him talking to me one day. He says, Roger, look, we don't teach this in college. Nobody's taught how to run a business. They may go to business school. They may learn finance and a lot of things, but they're not taught how to run a business. And then entrepreneurs, we're just throwing money at marketing companies where we really ought to learn how to build a community in our town, in our area, build a community within our company, make a culture there that people want to come to work for. Those are the kind of things that if we learn those things from our apprenticeship, through our journeyman, through our master, through our entrepreneur, we become unstoppable.
I love that. There's a lack of real life, real world training, work ethic, how to just be a great employee. And that's the challenge, is that so many people never got that training themselves. And because they never got that training themselves, they don't know how to train others to do it. And so they get these professional licensed tradesmen that come in, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, they don't have the work ethic I have. They won't get here on time. They won't smile at the customer. Like, they complain about these little things. But if no one taught you and no one's teaching them, it's time for you to step up and say, well, I need to become the trainer.
Absolutely.
I need to learn those things and learn how to teach those things. And I don't know how else to say it, but we almost have to raise the next generation how to be great producing, have a great work ethic, just be good people, because they're not getting that from their phones and from social media and from the schools. And so I put a lot of that pressure a little on the entrepreneur and say, hey, you've got to learn how to train these guys to be good guys. And they'll do it too. They just need someone to pour into them.
They will. And here's the good thing. If I train my plumbers to be better, guess what? They make my company look better.
They do.
That's all I need.
Yeah. I love it.
And if you invest in them, they're not going to leave you.
But you got to invest in yourself first, is what I heard from you.
Oh, yeah.
You got to get trained.
I spend more money on coaching every year than I was making 2 or 3 years ago, a whole year.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things out there that we can learn. And what I like about what I'm doing is I'm learning it, but then I'm like, how can I teach plumbers this? How can I show them? You know, one thing I used to say all the time is you can learn your way up out of anything. If you don't like the job you're in, learn something. You can move up. You can move up to another company, another trade, whatever it is. You don't like the city you live in, learn your way up. Get out of it. You don't like the apartments you live in, learn your way up into a house. You can learn how to make more money to afford the things you want to do. And anybody can learn their way up.
I love that you talk about learning, because to my story, I grew up around the trades. My dad was in it. I learned all of the skilled trades from him because he was in manufacturing. He had to do all of it. And I'll never forget that moment when I realized that my dad's problem wasn't that he wasn't a good leader, wasn't that he wasn't a good manager, wasn't that he wasn't a good entrepreneur. My dad's problem is no one ever taught him how to do this stuff. And that's what drove me to do what I do, because there's so many other people out there just like my dad that are struggling because no one's ever taken the time to say, here's how you communicate with the candidate.
Yeah.
Here's how you onboard someone well, not just show them the trade. They know how to plumb.
You bet.
How do they be a great team member? That's what we need to teach people. And so that's what drove me to do what I do, is the training and the learning and everything that we're talking about right now.
So good.
So Roger, you actually have a lot of support, some tools, some education, some training for people in your community, people that you're an influence to, but you've also got a gift for our listeners today that can help them with this idea of getting started on YouTube. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's a PDF, and it's 5 things you can do on YouTube. And literally, when I started YouTube, I got on YouTube to learn how to do YouTube. Go figure that out.
I'm thinking, okay, I love it.
Sitting on the toilet to learn how to use it. I don't know. It works through osmosis or something.
Yeah.
But I literally got on YouTube, learned how to do YouTube. Had my stepson help me, had him learn how to do YouTube. But we put together a thing, 5 things you can do on YouTube. And it's literally, it teaches people videos that they can make to put on their website, put on YouTube, put it on Facebook, put it wherever you want to. But these are videos that when you ask people, hey, answer this question, they know the answer. It's stuff that we think about, stuff that we do every day. And knowing that and making videos about it and putting it out there. So many people, let's go back to Facebook. So many people have a Facebook account and they're on Facebook 2 or 3, 4 times a week. But if they go in and ask their friends, their people they're connected with on Facebook, do you know what I do for a living? Most people will be like, I have no idea what you do. Yeah. That is sad to me.
And so you've got a free resource. And I went and actually checked it out. And what I love about it is its simplicity. It's not like you're downloading a 40-page ebook with a whole bunch of stuff. Like, it's very simple, straight to the point, and some great tips and just ideas for getting started, which I think is the hardest part sometimes, is just getting started. So we will have the link to that in the show notes.
Perfect.
So I apologize if you're behind the windshield listening to this. You're going to have to Google it. When you
go home and listen to it again.
You listen to it again to get that link. And we'll have more ways that people can follow you and learn about you. And Roger, thank you so much. This was such a treat for me and for my listeners. I really appreciate everything you're doing for the trades and especially the plumbing industry. It's amazing. Thank you.
Ryan, number one, thank you. And thank you for everything you're doing for the trades. We need more people talking about the opportunities, talking about the amazing profession that it is. And like you said, look, there's no student loans that come attached to it. It's really kind of nice.
And you know, the thing too, I think, is I know so many people that are so proud of what they do. Like, this is a profession to be proud of.
Yes, it is.
It is amazing.
Talk about that all the time, brother.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Roger. This was amazing.
Ryan, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Ryan England here. Thank you so much for listening to Titans of the Trades. If you're a titan in the construction, manufacturing, or skilled trades industry and would like to be a guest on my show, please visit podcast.corematters.com. If you found value in this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot on your phone and share it with a friend or post it on social. And if you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Titans of the Trades. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, click the subscribe button. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and get me one step closer to solving the labor crisis facing the industry. Want to know more about how we're doing that? Go to our website or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.